pass it on to Mark again, and you're going to be talking to us about the World Health Organization.
Yes, this is ongoing coverage, of course, about the developments of the international health regulations on a parallel track with the very skeptically viewed WHO pandemic treaty or instrument. Of course, they like to avoid that word treaty, so the Senate in the U.S. may not act. But anyway, this is a reiteration from last week, this slide here. James Rogowski on Substack is probably doing the most groundbreaking research on a day-by-day basis of these developments. And again, he can be reached, he doesn't mind this, U.S. callers, but other callers, he can be reached at 310-619-3055. That's his number, 310-619-3055. He invites calls. He wants people to get involved if they're so inclined. His website is jamesrogowski.substack.com, and exitthewho.com is one of his main websites. Moving on from there, though, here's the newer development in the next slide. This here is stoptheglobalagenda.com. And it, of course, it shows the United Nations logo to the left, the World Health Organization's very similar logo to the right. And we have to remember, some people tend to forget that WHO is part of the UN system. It's based on the same philosophy and the same view of humanity. So those that say, well, they look at the preliminary drafts of the treaty or the changes in the IHR regs, they'll say, well, we see no explicit evidence that they want to cancel freedom of health choice and freedom of consent regarding health. But if you look at the UN system and the UN Charter and the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, you see that the UN as a system, as a world system with its philosophy, considers human rights as revocable and conditional. Very important to keep in mind. But these 4 tracks along the bottom are what are really important. I'm not sure you can enlarge that anymore, but these are the tracks that are going on now. Track 1, the UN's high-level political declaration having to do with the WHO stuff, to be adopted on September 20th of this year. Track 2, going from left to right, amendments to the international health regulations, the most recent amendments that were adopted May 27th of 2022. Those must be rejected by December 1st of this year. Track 3, 300 plus new amendments to the IHR must be submitted by those that are working on them by mid-January of next year. And track 4, the actual framework convention, aka pandemic treaty, as I've noted, to be adopted the last week of May in 2024. So that's kind of the broad cross-section of the tracks, the 4 parallel tracks that are going on and all the dates. Very important update.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much for that. Well,